a world consumed by shadow, where light was fleeting and fragile, the name Black carried the weight of fear. An assassin of unparalleled skill, he stalked the Sprunki, a race of beings whose purity and light stood in stark contrast to the darkness that had overtaken his soul. They were more than just targets to him. They were a reminder of what he could never be. Killing them became an obsession, a futile attempt to snuff out the light he despised and craved. For years, Black was a force of unstoppable destruction. The Sprunki fell, their numbers dwindling until only one remained, Wendy. She was unlike the others. Her presence radiated an otherworldly purity that unsettled him. Her alabaster skin shimmered faintly in the dark, her snow-white hair cascaded like flowing silk, and her pure white eyes, devoid of iris or pupil, seemed to pierce through his shadowy exterior and into his very soul. Wendy was the last, the ultimate prize in Black's relentless hunt, but she was also his undoing. Black tracked Wendy for months. Her light lingered like a whisper through forests and valleys, always just beyond his reach. Each time he closed in, she eluded him. It wasn't like the other hunts. This time, his prey unsettled him. Her presence gnawed at the edges of his fractured mind. The voices in his head noticed. "Why do you hesitate?" one snarled. "She's just like the others. End her." "No, she's different." Black clenched his fists, his gloved fingers twitching against the hilt of his blade. The voices had always been with him, splinters of his broken psyche urging him toward violence. But now there was something new, a flicker of doubt, a yearning. He finally cornered Wendy in the ruins of an ancient cathedral. She stood bathed in the silvery glow of the moonlight streaming through the broken roof, her calm presence stark against the decay around her. She didn't run, she didn't beg. Instead, she met his gaze with quiet defiance. "If you've come to kill me," she said, her voice steady, "do it quickly." Black's hand wavered as he drew his dagger. He'd done this countless times before. It should have been easy. Yet, for the first time, he hesitated. His breathing hitched, and his fingers trembled. He couldn't finish the sentence. Wendy tilted her head, her glowing eyes softening. "Why won't you do it?" Black had no answer. She stepped closer, her presence pressing against the void that had hollowed him out. When her hand reached for his face, something inside him broke. He saw himself reflected in her unblinking eyes, not as a predator, but as a man consumed by his own darkness. The voices erupted in chaos. "Weakling! Kill her now, before it's too late! Protect her!" For the first time, Black defied them. He let the dagger fall from his hand. "I can't," he muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. Black and Wendy fled together, their uneasy alliance forged in silence. He didn't know why he had spared her, and she didn't ask. But as they journeyed through desolate lands, the darkness within him began to shift. The voices in his mind grew louder, their chaos harder to ignore. Black's body betrayed him. Black veins snaked across his skin, and shadows moved around him like living things. Wendy noticed his pain. "What's happening to you?" she asked one night as he sat, trembling, by the campfire. Black shook his head. "It's always been there," he admitted. "The darkness, the voices, sparing you. It made them angry." She reached for his hand, her light a soothing balm against his shadowed skin. "You don't have to fight it alone." Her touch was almost too much to bear. It burned and comforted him all at once. "You don't understand," he said, pulling away. "This isn't something you can save me from." But Wendy wouldn't abandon him. Her quiet determination only deepened his torment. He wanted to believe her, to cling to her light. Yet, deep down, he knew the darkness was winning.
One night, it consumed him entirely. Wendy awoke to Black's screams. She found him writhing on the ground, his body convulsing as tendrils of shadow erupted from his back. His skin split open, black ichor spilling from the wounds. His countless blood-red eyes blinked open across his monstrous form. "Run!" he growled, his voice distorted and layered with the echoes of 1,000 others. "I can't control it." But Wendy didn't run. She stepped closer, her light flaring against the darkness that threatened to engulf him. "You're still in there," she said firmly. "I won't leave you," the monstrous form shuddered, its tendrils thrashing wildly. For a moment, Black's human face emerged from the mass, his expression twisted in despair. "I'm sorry," he rasped, tears streaming down his face. "I can't stop it." The voices roared louder, drowning out her words. "Kill her!" they commanded. "Her light will destroy us!" Black's monstrous body lunged forward, tendrils slamming against Wendy's glowing shield. The impact sent a shockwave through the ruins, shattering the ground beneath them. Wendy's light flickered, but she held firm, her voice cutting through the chaos. "I forgive you." The words pierced through the cacophony like a blade. Black froze, his monstrous form trembling. For a fleeting moment, the shadows recoiled, and silence fell. Then the darkness surged again. Black fled into the wilderness, his monstrous form consumed by shadows. The voices now controlled him entirely, save for a faint whisper buried deep within. A fragment of the man who had once chosen to spare a life instead of taking it. Wendy survived, her light dim but unextinguished. She refused to abandon him, dedicating herself to finding a way to bring him back. As she pursued him through desolate lands, she clung to the memory of the man she had seen within the monster, the man who had chosen her life over his own darkness. From the shadows, Black watched her. His monstrous body yearned to destroy her light, but deep inside, the faint whisper of his humanity stirred. The voices screamed for blood, but one voice defied them all. Protect her. And so, their tragic dance continued. Wendy chasing the shadow of a man she refused to give up on, and Black torn between the monster he had become and the glimmer of hope she carried. Their fates intertwined, light and dark locked in an endless struggle neither could escape.